guys. It's Kelby and Erica. Welcome back to the Things You Ought to Know podcast. Today we are back with Kayla. We are so excited. We loved part one with her, so we decided that we just had to have her come back on for part two. And she is going to talk to us today a little bit about the beaches resorts. And I am going to the beach next week, so I am super excited to hear all about this. I'm not going to the beaches resort. I'm just going to the beach.
All right, we'll go ahead and dive in. Hi, Kayla. Thanks for coming back on the podcast with us today. We are excited to dive into part two, understanding a little bit more about the beaches travel and all that you have to offer with your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge with that topic. Before we dive in, I want to just, if it's a new listener, I want to just reintroduce everyone to Kayla Castro. She is a certified autism travel professional, a special education educator, but more importantly, a fellow autism mom. Kayla lives in Orlando, Florida with her husband, who is a veteran, her 13-year-old son, and her 13-year-old son who has autism, and then her 9-year-old neurotypical son. And Kayla is a dedicated individual with a deep passion for supporting the autism community through her role as a special needs travel agent. Her commitment stems from a desire to create inclusive and accessible travel experiences, ensuring individuals with autism and their families can explore the world comfortably and confidently. Her goal here is to fill your cup with knowledge, resources, hope, and confidence so that you can experience your own special kind of magic.
Hi.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for coming back. We are excited. Just for
Hi.
everyone that is listening and or watching us today, Erica is in her clinic setting. You might see the background looks very clinical. And so we'll see. We're not together. So this is our first time both doing remote with a guest.
Yes. In the Doc McStuffins room.
Doc McStuffins. That's awesome.
Very cute and very fitting.
Well, Kayla, just real quick, how have you been since we last got to speak with you? Anything new on your end as far as, I think you had mentioned something was rolling out this morning at Disney. So maybe you want to give everyone a heads up about that.
Yeah, so it's been a little cray-cray around here for myself as well as for clients currently traveling to Walt Disney World. So Walt Disney World released a new update to their Genie Plus system called the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and the Lightning Lane Single Pass, and it is essentially a prepaid service to bypass the regular standby line. And you are able to, 7 days before you arrive, if you're staying on property, you actually get to pre-purchase that pass as well as pre-book 3 rides per park day for your entire vacation. So if you're going to the parks for 4 days, then you could have 12 rides lined up for you a week before you even get here. And then once you're in the parks, as soon as you redeem that very first ride, you can go into the app and redeem another ride, and you'll essentially have 3 rides lined up for every single day, continuously throughout the day for your parks. And so that's been great. I feel like it's a really great new update. It's going to be very exciting for families that don't have to wake up at 7 a.m. on the morning of their trip to go ahead and pre-plan that. Unless they want a virtual queue, that's still at 7 a.m. So you'll still have to wake up for that. But I think it's going to be great. It was just a little bit difficult this week because I have many clients traveling right now at Walt Disney World. So I have prepped them and taught them how to use Genie Plus. And so they were only able to utilize that prepping for the first few days of their trip. And then today it was a whole new system. And so thankfully I was able to learn a little bit about the system before it rolled out. So I was able to prep them beforehand. And I talked to everybody this morning and they said that it was very straightforward. It was very smooth. They got exactly what they wanted to get. So it seems like it's a really great system. It's just a matter of learning a new system, essentially.
That's the really cool thing that you were telling me before we started recording, that you because you are local to Disney, you're able to kind of go and test it out for your clients. And so
Yeah.
I'm a hands-on learner. And so I
Hmm.
love that you're able to do that for someone like me, where I'm like, I am not going to understand this until I'm actually there, which
Yeah.
you can be the hands and the eyes and the ears for
Yes.
us and your clients while we get to relax at home. So thank you
Yeah,
for.
yeah. I woke up early and got on and got what I could. I'm going to be in the parks this evening utilizing the system. I'm staying the night there so I can wake up in the morning and utilize the new system tomorrow in multiple parks. But yeah, no, I actually have a Facebook group just for my clients, and I upload like screen recordings of me doing certain processes for my visual people too, so they can, kind of see what it looks like in real time.
That is awesome.
I love
Yeah,
that.
it's
Next
pretty
time I go
cool.
to Disney, I'm utilizing that for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. To
It
be
was
able to
stressful
book a
waking
week
up
in
at like
advance.
6:45.
Yeah. No, it is super stressful. And I wish virtual queue would change a little bit, but I mean, that's how it goes. But, you won't need to do a virtual queue for each park day, so that's good.
Well,
Awesome.
that's our little Disney dive. We would we got to do a more of that on part one. So if you haven't heard the part one of Kayla's, we encourage you to go and listen to her, or you can watch us on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces and hear all the nugget of information that she has. And then also all of just the great resources that she provides, just like speaking on the Facebook page that she just mentioned. She has so many other wide variety of resources that she alone does for her clients. So we encourage you to go listen to that. For part two, we're going to be focusing more on the beaches resorts. I want to make sure that I'm going to explain this correctly. So Kayla,
Sure.
we'll pass the baton over to you so that you are the expert and you can explain all what
Yeah,
this is. But if you don't follow Kayla on Instagram, then you certainly should, because she posts some great information about these things. And that's where I was like, oh, beaches resorts are autism friendly. What
hmm
does that mean? So yeah, Kayla, what does that mean? Enlighten us.
So, Beaches Resorts is an all-inclusive resort. It is actually owned by Sandals. So, if you guys, have heard about Sandals, it is an all-inclusive in the Caribbean. It is adult only, but then they created Beaches Resorts, and it is owned by Sandals, and there are 3 locations, and all 3 locations are advanced certified autism centers. So in 2017, they actually became certified autism centers with the IBCCES. And then I believe it was April of 2019, they became advanced certified autism centers, and the very first ones in the world to do that, like resort company to do that in the world, which was pretty awesome. And so basically 80% of their face facing, what is it, staff, how do you say that? I don't even know how to say that, but basically 80% of their staff that is in front of people and working with guests has had 40 or more hours worth of training on autism, social awareness, environmental awareness, you know, um, growth, and all of the things. And so I keep hitting my water, um, all of the things. And so they actually became advanced certified autism centers, and they have certified autism nannies that actually work on property as well. They're actually called Beaches Buddies. And so you can schedule a Beaches Buddy to, nanny your child either for the entire vacation or just a few hours out of the day if you wanted to go have some alone time with another child or your spouse. And you get to pick the sensory friendly location that the nanny works with your child at. And it's just a really, really great opportunity for families like us to be able to vacation at a destination where they feel comfortable and they feel seen and they feel heard. and not embarrassed, because even though we don't feel embarrassed, it's just you get flushed and you get nervous and people are watching and looking, and then that makes you even more nervous. And so just to know that you're at a location where there are tons of other eyes and ears assisting you is just, it's super helpful, especially if you have a child who tends to elope as well.
Exactly what I
Wow.
was just going to ask about elopement.
Yeah, so I mean, before you even get there, you get to fill out like a questionnaire, for the kids camp and for the staff. And, you get to let them know before you even get there what kind of, you don't have to necessarily disclose a disability. I personally don't have a problem with it because I feel like if the staff knows that my child is autistic, then that is going to help them understand, the obstacles that might arise when I get there. And so you get to pre-plan ahead of time, especially if you're using a travel agent. I talk to the special services team very often. They know me by name now. And so, I get to just kind of relay the message and let them know what when my clients are coming, who's coming, what kind of obstacles are, we looking at, and how the staff can prepare ahead of time to make sure that they have a great vacation, and also so the staff prepares ahead of time to know how they can help, when my clients get there. And so, yeah, no, it's really nice to just have all of those eyes and ears on deck while you're traveling because it's scary.
Props to that. Props to that resort because they're doing better than some of the systems in place to have 40 hours of training for each staff that's going to be working that could potentially run into a child or a person with autism is amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, you think about like there's schools and daycares and places where they're definitely going to run into somebody with autism, and there's, not a required training to be employed there. That's amazing.
Yeah. And their training is so like wide, like they go over bullying, they do social awareness, environmental awareness, early childhood interventions and stuff like that. And so just the fact that they're covering so many different topics that arise with autism and disabilities in general. I loved the fact that they had the bullying in there because, if you're at a
Yeah.
pool with other neurotypical kids and they don't know, then sometimes, for us, it's not, I don't want to say it's awkward because we obviously stick up for our children and we want to be like, hey, if you have a question, you can come over and ask, or, he does this because he's really happy, or, stuff like that. But sometimes parents get a little bit flustered that if they were to say something, it might, you know, um, I don't want to say come off defensive because we are getting defensive, we're sticking up for our babies, but maybe they don't know how to say it. And so I love that the staff is trained to recognize that as well. So if the staff feels like they need to intervene, they totally can, and they can help out, with inclusion and kind of explaining it, especially if the child on the spectrum is inside of the kids camp when the parents are not around. The staff is able to be aware of that and talk about it with the other kids. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's
I
really
love
great.
that.
That's a really great service. And just like getting um their staff trained just helps in all of those areas, like spread more awareness to the rest of those communities too, because there's just so many more people now within that community that are
Mhm.
now aware, and 40 hours of training in autism, so, and all the things that can go along with that sometimes. So I think that's a really great thing. So we don't get to say
Yeah,
to
Kudos
big
to
big
beaches.
10
round of
companies,
applause
but
to beaches. Yeah,
yes.
no, it's awesome.
Curious, do they offer, how some parks are starting to be more inclusive and they have the PEX boards, the large
Hmm.
boards. Do you
Hmm.
know if they have any of those in some of the common areas so that kids can communicate effectively if that's their form of communication?
So when I was there, I personally did not see one. I was at Negril, and none of my clients have said that they've seen them. But I know that they're still working on having autism professionals come on to the resort properties, and they're continuously making it better. So I do see that in their future as well. And I hope one day too that the Sandals resorts become certified autism centers, because we know that we don't grow out of autism, and it would be really awesome for adults to get that kind of service as well, and not just kids. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, what a great point. I didn't even think about that. I think because I'm in on a younger side with Porter only being 5,
mm-hmm,
I sometimes silo myself into this thought process of like the younger age and what does
mm-hmm.
this time frame look like. But I try to challenge myself to expand and think about like, what does puberty look like? What does
Oh
adulthood look
girl.
like? I know that it's probably something we could have you back on to talk about
Yeah,
with
oh
yours,
girl.
with him being
We're gonna
Oh,
have like 10
13,
parts with
right?
you.
so he just turned 14 2
14.
weeks
Okay.
ago. And that
Oh,
has
wow.
been, oh gosh, that's been a whole other. I'm like, go, there's some parts of me, I'm like, go talk to your dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. And I keep
I
telling my
am.
husband, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And he's like, you don't have a choice.
It's
Oh, but yeah.
happening whether you like it or
hmm
not. Buckle up.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly the like perfect phrase. Buckle up. We were talking
Buckle
about
up, Buttercup.
puberty. Yep,
Yeah.
buckle up. It is quite the ride between the voice changes and the physical changes. Like Tristan is ripped, like he's got abs, and I'm like, where did that come from? Okay, Superman, like what? And he's like, Mom, stop. And when he talks, I'm like, he sounds just like my husband. It's scary.
Oh
And my
my
husband's like a
gosh.
big Marine, he's big and he's got a deep voice. And then Tristan will say something. I'm like, was that my husband or was that Tristan? And my mom too. Whenever my mom calls, she's like, who's talking in the background? Is that Chris? I'm like, no, it's Tristan. She's like, no freaking way. Like he sounds like a grown man. It's
Gosh.
terrifying. And he towers me too. So
Oh,
yeah,
I am
no.
not ready.
Puberty is like it's a whole other thing. And then they start liking girls. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Your mama's the only one you're gonna love, okay? There's no way.
Period.
Yep, that's it. You're gonna get
I
a
know.
tattoo with a
Oh,
heart that says mom.
My boys are already in, like Erica can tell you, they're like
yeah.
over the
Yeah.
growth chart. So I am not ready for puberty because I'm outnumbered as it is with 3 boys in the house, and then to have them huge, as big as
Mm-hmm.
they are, like my 5-year-old he's a big boy, and so I cannot. And my 9-month-old is already 22 pounds, and I'm like, what the? I
Wow.
am doing farmer carries, just trying to get them around the house.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I am
puberty
not
is
ready
gonna
for
be a
puberty
special. Yeah, it's a special time. It's a special time.
either.
Well, back into beaches, I'm
Sure.
curious about the nutrition side of things because we all know
Mm-hmm.
that is, you said that you had given touched on in the last episode with you about how much you help with like the safe foods and prepping
Mm-hmm.
families for that. And
Yeah.
when they're traveling, can you give us some insight into what that looks like in these resorts? Me personally, when I visited those types of resorts, you really are kind of handcuffed to what they're offering.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's different. So I'd like to kind of hear what they do to help with families in those situations.
Yeah, so typically the other all-inclusive resorts have anywhere from like 7 to 14 different places that you can eat. It just kind of varies. But with beaches, so I forgot to mention there's actually 3 locations. There's Beaches Turks and Caicos, there's Beaches Ocho Rios, which is in Jamaica, and then there's Beaches Negril, which is also in Jamaica. So each location is a little bit different in terms of restaurants and services, but they're all advanced certified autism centers. And so, like, one of them has over 21 different eateries around the location. And before you even get there, you can talk to culinary specialists. And this is something that I also do for my clients. Or if you're booking on your own, you can email the culinary specialist and you can have a chat with them about what kind of foods they have on hand, kind of give them a heads up of what your child's safe foods might be. And then they will go ahead and try to work with you and see what they can do to make sure that they have that food on hand for you as well. I personally have not had a client that was not able to feed their child while on vacation. And it was with stuff that they had on hand, usually chicken fingers are a big one, French fries. For us with Tristan, it's grilled cheese or mac and cheese. And so, those are safe foods that they definitely have on property. And, if you go to a restaurant and, because the parents wanted to eat maybe at a Thai restaurant, but your child's safe foods are at a different restaurant. I mean, I've had it to where the server went to the other restaurant and got that safe food for the child and then brought it to, the Thai restaurant or whatever restaurant it was, for the child to be able to eat where the parents wanted to eat that. And so,
Wow.
Beach's service
That's really
just
awesome.
genuinely, yeah, they just genuinely go above and beyond for you. And what I've had clients too that absolutely love is they have a butler service, which of course is an added expense. But if you plan ahead of time, then you can budget for it, and having somebody there to just go and grab something for you and bring it back. I mean, it's a luxury, but it is a luxury that is so nice to have because you've already got enough things going on. You don't want to have to run down and go grab something. And so they're super helpful about making sure that, maybe your child has their safe food in the morning without even going to breakfast, like an actual restaurant, having it inside of your room for you, and your butler can do that.
My son
We
loves
hired them to come
bacon,
to
so
the
you're
home.
telling me I
Mm.
could have the butler bring a plate of
Yeah.
bacon for my boy? That would be
Yep.
awesome. And I
Hmm.
don't have to make it.
Yep. Yes. And then you
Oh my
also
gosh, he would
don't
be
have
so
to
happy.
clean. Yeah, you don't have to clean your house. You don't have to do any of the cooking. Nothing.
Oh yeah. So it's
It's
because
heaven.
we
That
we
actually
just
really
got
sounds
done
like a
with
vacation.
it really does.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I just got done with my family vacation. Erica's about to start her family vacation. And us moms know it ain't a vacation for us. We are
Hmm.
still 100% 24/7
Yeah.
on for them.
I
And
heard
that
Yeah.
was,
you're being a mama in a different location.
Yes.
exactly,
Yeah. You're being a mama at a different destination too. Yeah, for
ex-
sure. And
But
exactly.
like this
that
sounds
is
like it's
why.
actually nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
this sounds like an actual vacation for the parents
Yeah.
too. No, I know. And the fact that they even have the certified autism nannies, the beaches
Oh,
buddies
yeah.
that could take your child for a few hours if you wanted them to. And then heck, it would feel like a real vacation at that point. But yeah, no, it's
Yes.
amazing. If I always say that if you really do want to feel like you're on vacation, then an all-inclusive resort or a cruise, specifically Disney, because I'm telling you, even if you're not a big Disney fan, they are the best of the best. Um, where there's no cooking, there's no cleaning, it's easy. Super, super easy.
Kayla, can you repeat that, but also point it directly to my husband? Say, Michael Finati. Kelby needs to go on an all-inclusive resort. Trying to tell
Yes.
him I've done a few with just like work trips and things like that.
Hmm.
And we've had, some fun out there, but I've never gotten to do one with him. And so I'm going to make him listen to this episode so that he can listen to all the benefits to it.
Yes.
And because our 10-year wedding anniversary comes up in April of next year. So I'm like, hey, if we start planning now,
Yeah.
especially with Kayla the expert, then we
Yeah.
could have everything in place to where
Yes.
I actually can vacation as the mama and I'm not, you know, this last vacation I was like stressed to the max. I've got my
Mm.
barnacle baby and then I'm worried about my 5-year-old and so it's cool to know that they offer those services. That's awesome.
Yes.
Um
So
you meant
Michael
Thank
Fanati.
you. Yes.
Yes, Kelby needs and deserves an all-inclusive vacation for your 10-year
Thank you.
anniversary. And if it's next year, you're already late planning. So
Oh,
we need to get started on that because those locations fill up very quickly.
Sounds
he's
like
going to
we
tell me
have a
we're
dinner
trying to buy
topic
a
for
house.
tonight.
I know. um, Speaking of, as far as like time to go and what the best, because I've heard about seaweed season in
Hmm.
that air in those
Hurricane season.
areas, hurricane season, things like that. So
Yeah.
do you have like ideal time frames that you usually tell parents like for the less stress and the most out of the bang for your buck? This is when
Hmm.
I would recommend you to go.
Yeah, so the end of summer, beginning of fall is a great time to go. It's still warm, the water's still warm. I haven't really heard or seen seaweed being an issue on Sandals and Beaches properties because they're so amazing about keeping the properties clean and up to date and just, oh my gosh, they're fantastic about it. Really, truly, any time is a great time to go. It really just depends on your schedule and what's best for you. Um, I will say, hurricane season is scary because you never know what's going to happen. Hurricane, in the tropics. So we had a hurricane, they had a hurricane, Jamaica did in July, right? It was the end of June or beginning of July. I think it was beginning of July, just a few weeks ago. And that was scary because I think it was one of the earlier hurricanes that we had. So hurricane season is from May to October. And usually the peak season of that is August and September. But we did see that early hurricane, this month. So definitely, I always recommend my clients purchase travel insurance. That's super important. You can always, also, they have a great canceling and modification to your trip policy. That's always changing though. So, but definitely look into the travel insurance if you decide to go during the summertime, just in case. But really, I mean, it's just you're in the Caribbean, so it's great to go. The water is typically cooler a little bit more in like January, February, and March, but it's nothing crazy. But I mean, usually most of my clients go August, September, or October. And I had clients at Sandals resorts, the adults only, this month in July. And it's perfect. It's absolutely stunning.
That's awesome. I thanks for that tip. Um, Erica, I want to be conscious of your time that you got to get back to the clinic. So, are you doing okay? If we can go ahead, I think that's all great information. We can skip into the segment of things you ought to know. Um, Erica, I'll let you because there's a delay, so I'm not catching whenever you're wanting to ask a question or say something. So I'm going to let you ask her this segment so that they can hear your voice on this. I
Yeah,
feel like I've done a lot of talking.
I'm just like the silent bobblehead today. um, so Kayla, tell us something that we ought to know about autism and if as it pertains to travel, especially because you have shared
Yeah,
so
so
much
I
great information.
Oh, well, thank you. I think something that families ought to know about traveling with autism is that you don't necessarily have to do something big and extravagant as a family vacation, especially if you are just now getting into the headspace of thinking about traveling with your child on the spectrum. Start small, find out, if there is a fun hotel close to your house that has a really cool water slide or pool that your child has a special interest in. Or maybe you can look and see if there is a zoo close by that is a certified autism center. You don't necessarily have to start going big. You definitely want to start small, try and stay close to home just in case, you got to roll back home because we definitely have to set realistic expectations. Um, but don't think that you have to do these big vacations. Don't rule out the small ones, because I promise that even in those small vacations, you're going to make really big memories and big gains as well.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Thanks for that information, Kayla. We want to make sure everyone knows where to find you. So if you can plug your information, and then I'll also have it linked in the comments on the podcast episode.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me, I'm mostly on Instagram. It's at special kind of magic. And then I also have a blog that is specialkindofmagic.com. I have a few blogs that I'm going to upload soon, but I recently got kicked out of my blog site. And it's kind of been a little bit of a pain to get it back. So as soon as they let me back in, I'll have new blogs up. And I do have a blog all on beaches resorts that we can link in the comments. I actually wrote it for our travel agency. And so we can link my blog on the beaches resorts and what they offer in the comments. So
Awesome.
I can't wait
We
to
will
read
definitely
them.
do that. I know, me too. All right. Well, Kayla, thanks again. I'm sure we'll be having you on more. We've got so many other topics that we can touch on that you just live a relatable life to us. So
good, I'm glad.
thank you for your time today. We'll see everyone next week. Bye.
Bye.